Okay, this is to give you a little bit of insight on how or if these heads will bolt up easily onto a 360 Magnum block. In this case, that locator dowel that's right there on the front, on this side, does not have a corresponding spot to go into. This one you can see actually bolted up flush like it was supposed to. So I'm gonna have to go back through and look and see what we can do. Note, these are 2.5. They're hardly, they got some threads in there, but they're not what I would say extremely, I wouldn't be comfortable torquing these down, because we're looking at like that much for worth of threads, so that is nowhere near enough. But for mock-up purposes, I actually they'll work. I tried to use a 6-inch bolt, and you can see it'll make it through it, but it needs to be a 6.5 at the very least. And my Ace Hardware did not have any 6.5s with the 7/16 size, so that's some of the stuff that we're looking at. Another thing that I don't know if you can see it real well, but that right there, I believe, is your, that is a coolant passage, and that doesn't line up. So that is interesting. I may have these things backwards. This one may need to come over here, the other one may go over there. You can't see it real well, but right where my finger is, oh, there you go. There you go. You can see that right there is your intake pushrod hole. So you would have to hog on that. One of the things I noticed over here is these are corresponding, those are corresponding with where some of the jackets go for the water jackets. So I'll pull this one back off for a second and we'll go through and look. But yeah, that one is another one where the water jacket doesn't line up properly. Over here it looks like it does. So yeah, I would say a no on these fitting. Okay, in reference to the dowels, this head is drilled a little bit different. You have a one dowel here, and then you have two dowel locations there. If you come up to the block, you can put it in two locations here, or on the lower section there's two here. However, I believe if this one was down here, we would have no issues and it would bolt up. I kind of don't want to pull this one out because Magnum heads are going back on this one when we're finished with our little bit of fun stuff that we're doing. Because basically what I'm doing is, this is a engine that's going into one of the other cars, but we're mocking these heads up on it so that we can turn around and check fitment with these Ford Mustang headers, because the poly pattern is actually correct. Because as you notice, instead of your intakes being side by side, they're spread out like a Ford or even like an LS would be. In fact, some of the people actually put LS intakes on these. So what we're trying to do is stick this with that in one of my B bodies and then test fitment. Specifically, we're wanting to test for the starter, which would bolt up there, and if these things will clear. If these things will clear, you can make an adapter or cut off the flanges on that right there. There's also a second one here that would go over here, and that's basically what we're trying to do. Once the mock-up's done and our questions are answered, these cylinder heads come back off and get put back in their bags and get saved for future use on a different engine. But I needed a set in order to do what we want to do. And this is research for Jason at Rabbit Transit Garage as well, since I already had the headers before he buys some. We were better off me trying it here, and that's why we got these heads. That's what we're looking at. Okay, so we just set a Magnum head on here, and you can see it, even though there's a little bit of a space, it actually went down on the dowel on both sides. So there's a difference there. Now with the extra locations, I imagine that could be made to fit, but you run into the problem again of water jackets. All right, I'm gonna pull the Magnum head off, and I'll bring an LA head out and swap it out. Okay, here we can go at it again. You can see we have a higher dowel position. This one has a lower dowel position there. This side has multiple. This side has multiple. So this and the Magnum head, which, let's flip this bad boy up so we're at the same position. 2 dowels there, 2 dowels there, whereas this one has 1, 2, 3, and there may be one after. There is actually one right behind this. I just need to clean it out. So this has 4 dowel locations, whereas that only has 3. So that would be one of your differences between these. One thing to show is this is actually your oiling hole there. You can see it on this one here, but if you come over here, that's where it would be, and it's not there. That's where your oiling hole is for your rail mounted rocker arms versus, or I should say shaft mounted versus your rail mounted, which are on here. So that gives you a good idea on what the differences are.